back in the 30s and 40s, when I was a boy, actually, my father took me to the Yogashala. My father thought, why not I send him to a Yogashala? So that's how I got. It must be at the age of 11, maybe 12, I got introduced to this Yogashala, and Krishnamacharya, all of a sudden, he took me, And there was an immediate kind of a rapport, partly because my father also happened to be a Sanskrit scholar. And Sanskrit, in a way, is a kind of a bridge between two Brahmins and two Iyengars. That was another reason why immediately I was accepted as a disciple there. I could see Sri Krishnamacharya taking a personal interest in me. And then he would come and he would hold my leg and put it here, put it there, And he would do it very, very, what should I say, very voluntarily. So from the age of 11, maybe 12, I have gone on during my asanas. And by the time I got to 16 or 18, I was able to do some 300 asanas, almost, with all the variations, of course. Actually, during those days, there was also a rumor that he would sit in the Padmasana and he would slightly go up. That was the rumor we all had. Everyone believed in it, so I also believed. But I have not seen it, of course. He would sit in a corner and he would be watching, of course. He's a very good watcher. He would be watching who is doing what. And if there is some kind of a mistake, then he would sort of almost shout, hey, that's not the way to do things, Only thing is, he was very particular about Surya Namaskara. You start your yoga with Surya Namaskara, and after that, the world is free. You are free to sort of innovate on the postures that But Surya Namaskara is an important thing. It's a kind of an introduction to.
This, of course, is the primary series that we are familiar with. And about when did this develop?
Actually, all these postures are thought of because what is called Angalaghava. Angalaghava, that is a sense of lightness of the body, that your body has become very flexible. But there is nothing like fixtures, you see, you have to go this. There is no such thing at all. Actually, what is important is if we can move from one posture to another with a kind of rhythmical flow, a rhythmical flow that is supported by your breathing. The breathing pattern is very important in these things, actually. How you breathe out, how you breathe in. And rhythmically, if we can manage that, your energies will be very freely flowing from one part of the body to another part of the body, because entire your asana system is based upon stress, strain, relax. You stress and strain, but the rest is already relaxed. So that's why I always emphasize that phrase by Edmund Jacobson, actually, differential relaxation. Some parts are not relaxed, some other parts are relaxed. But relaxation, it moves on from one part of the body to another part of the body. That kind of holism is something which you may not find here, because I remember in one of the films I saw, B.K. Iyengar, he was actually teaching one posture, and the student, he was doing this. He got so angry, no, this must like that, he just pulled. That is not yoga for me at any rate. Hatha yoga is fine. Hatha yoga is fine, but Hatha yoga should always move towards Raja yoga, where other aspects of the human body are emphasized. He didn't do it often, but with some students he did, With some students he did. He would sit, and in Padmasana, he would sit and then, I think he would emphasize the Surya Vedana, that is Anuloma, Viloma, the first one actually. And then he would also emphasize on Bhastrika, These two are important for him, actually. Pranayama is so important, so central in a way, So that's why Asanas reconditions your body with the pranayama, and then you can move on to dhyana dharana. You know. So that's how the whole, that's how I understand my yoga. I'm sure Sri Krishnamacharya would agree with me. Though he did not use these English words, actually, he was meaning one thing, that yoga does not stop at this level of the postures, the physical postures, actually. He was always insisting upon that. Sri Krishnamacharya would always say that in a way, though his emphasis, his concentration happens to be always on the postures, on the yoga postures. But he would occasionally do tell us, he will occasionally tell us, for instance, that, Ashtake allapa, innu mundak hogabeku, means don't stop at this, you may have to go up. As I said, in fact, the entire yogic system is layered, many layered kind of a thing. It's a whole stratification, There is undergone a kind of stratification. He would say, when you do this dhyana, think of Om, because Om in a way envelops the entire universe. So Om, you can not exactly concentrate, but attend. That is, bring your attention to focus on the point where you can hear the sound more than see. Well, because our entire culture is based upon orality. You have to hear the sound. So sound becomes more important than what you see. Yoga gets caught up in these customs and rituals, but it has to come out. There's no way. If you read the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, nowhere does he refer to any custom or ritual. Nowhere. And it's based upon Sankhya Yoga. And Sankhya Yoga is wholly free from these irrational, superstitious kind of rituals. Sankhya Yoga is very intellectual. I am ready to, fight for that kind of thing. And in the Yoga Sutra, there is only one sutra, Ishvara Pranidhanadva. That is the only sutra which refers to some kind of a Godhead. Because you need that kind of a Godhead in order to focus your attention upon it. Otherwise, it's all wholly rationally and very ratiocinatively argued out. But no superstition at all in Yoga Sutras. No superstition at all in, say, Sankhya Yoga. There's one that's supposed to be the oldest school of Indian philosophy, Sankhya Yoga, oldest. And if you go through the Sankhya Karikas, you will see that there is no mention of any ritual or yaga, yajna, nothing of the kind. Sankhya Yoga is free from all that. It would appeal to a Western man who believes in a kind of reasoning, not rationality, but reasoning. There is a difference between reasoning and rationality. You can be rational or irrational, but reasoning is a very important faculty. And that kind of reasoning is something on which is based Sankhya Yoga. And yoga is actually based upon Sankhya. So there is a kind of a very close connection between Yoga Sutras and Sankhya Yoga. Another important thing happens to be that yoga is used for therapeutics. There's nothing wrong about it. No, there's nothing wrong about it. But many people actually stop at that level. They don't wish to move on. So it has a different dimension altogether. That is from the physical, or shall I say, the neurological, because your nervous system is very much involved in whatever you do. Because as you know, the spine actually, it goes to the hypothalamus, and the vagus and the nerve also goes to the hypothalamus. So if you go into the physiology of the asanas, you begin to see that your nervous system is at the very center. Yoga happens to touch biology, psychology, spirituality, all different kinds of disciplines that are involved in the holistic view of yoga. And any yoga teacher may have to educate himself with some of these things. Well, he must know exactly what kind of a mismatch is actually happening in you, in everybody, between the cortical and the thalamus. So thalamo-cortical balance becomes very important. Otherwise you will be quarreling with your wife, with your sisters, with your friends, with everybody. Well, there's nothing. And as you know, America is known for its divorces. Every other day there's a divorce. What for? Because you're not able to control your emotions, and emotions always affect each other in such a way that you are not able to maintain the balance. So that's the kind of thing that happens. You can be wonderful in your intellectual enterprises, but when it comes to emotions, you can't handle. I can't handle. No one can handle.
I agree.
And not only that, our reactions our immediate reactions are almost always animalistic. Right? So that is the mismatch that all human beings have inherited biologically. What Koestler calls schizophysiology. The reason why yoga becomes much more relevant than any other form of physical exercise. That's how I would view yoga. Because in yoga, you begin to understand what is actually important for you, how to maintain a kind of a balance between the intellection and your emotionality. That's why yoga becomes so relevant. That's the reason why yoga becomes so relevant all over the world, for the simple reason, how do you evade this mismatch between the cortical and the thalamus? Otherwise, we all become slaves of our emotions, So how do you have that the constraint that is required for managing your emotions? That's it. You must have had great Socrates, intellectually great, but he had such a he had such a problem with his wife. That's what happens to human beings all over the world. The reason why this kind of a balance, that's another thing. So therapeutic is one side. Another side is actually how do you control your emotions?
Yes.
How do you bring about a kind of a balance? So what are you going to do about it? Go to yoga. That's it. that is the medicine. But unfortunately, what has happened is this: either yoga gets intellectualized wholly, or it gets spiritualized wholly. With the result, the body becomes the secondary thing. Body is not the secondary thing. It is the primal thing with which you have to work. God has given you a body and you have got to work with it.